guess we don't need to go back that way anymore. A force within the Adra tugs your soul from your body and into a realm of pure essence. You become aware of a fragmented, dreamlike landscape. It is not a physical place, but rather a shape your mind has formed from the teeming energy. So is your presence in it.
I got an itch. Can someone scratch my elbow? I left it with my body.
Mm-hmm. Your actual body is still in Pokokahara. You feel the cold tiles beneath it and smell the dusty air around it. But you cannot return to it. Something here has a hold on you. The voices you heard outside the pillar scream and wail somewhere close by. There's a big bad grizzly something in here that wants to kill us, presumably. Alright. It's a good thing Tonk's here with us. Oh, there, spirits. Be you friend? You reach the source of the tumult, a festering mass of corruption. Hundreds of souls cry out within it, trapped and twisted by the accumulating decay.
That is not a good way to go.
Nope. A handful of souls, still fresh and mostly whole, surface to confront you. One of them separates out from the others and stares you down with a grim, hateful intensity.
You do not belong here.
The speaker takes the form of an older Huana man, his visage shifting as if reflected in rippling water. He is not a physical presence, but rather a soul-given shape. Mr. Tallstag, Captain of the Defiant, at your service.
We are the dead.
His voice hits in your mind like a clapper to a bell.
We're talking to a lost soul? Hold on, before you say any more, look into the light of my lantern.
Eager, she raises the lantern high, shaking it back and forth to scatter the light around in a skittering dance. He bares his teeth at her and squints as a trickle of essence leaves his body. When he looks away, the trickle stops.
Maybe you're dead. I do not see Tangaloa's mouth or Sirono's doors anywhere.
A second form takes shape near the first and glowers at him. Their essences sharpen and flicker at each other.
My storm wreathes Pokokahara. Ngati's fist drags Valiant ships to the deep. If you come to stop this, you have already failed.
His form gathers definition. Whether or not his words are true, he believes what he is saying. You're responsible for the storms. How?
Ngati holds our souls in this swamp, cut off from the sea. The flow of essence stops here.
He gazes out at the shifting scenery beyond your floating platform of what only resembles stone.
And rots, apparently.
She wrinkles her nose at the putrefying mass and checks under her boots.
What do you mean, rots? Souls are going bad, cut off from the cycle? My lantern looks fine and healthy, though.
I don't claim to understand it, girl. I'm a miner, not a mystic.
She aims a hard glance at Anaharu.
The cistern overflows into the world of the living, stirring the sea and skies with the fury of the goddess, bringing storms.
His lips curve into a slight smile. There's nothing much divine about broken machinery around an Adra pillar, whether or not the Anguithans became gods or not.
The gods laugh at machines, I say. Nothing built of Kith hands can wrest away their will.
In spite of his words, he regards the corruption over his shoulder with a frown.
No souls travel through here. The Adra screams. Ngati grins, showing her fangs. This is where Valiant's scheming ends. Ngati's servant holds the dam closed to flood the living world with her vengeance.
He places a hand over the spot his heart once occupied. Pushing out Valia only exchanges a trading post for Rawatayan warships.
Their ships also sink when the winds tip them over, Akira.
Smile slowly spreads from ear to ear.
I am the storm of my people, Adra is the staff I wave to churn Ngati's kingdom.
He opens his palms. The ether around you reacts at once, whipping up the ambient essence into a frenzy. Far away, you think you can hear furious winds growing in response.
Compensating, are we?
You will not laugh when I scatter your soul to the breeze.
Madiko, to arrive at the far side of death and find this babbling brook.
She presses her temples with both hands.
The Valians will not overrun us while I have the strength to repel them.
He furrows his brow toward Beza. These storms chase away fish and blight crops. You are the one killing Tikawara.
Fool! Ngati will stop churning the seas when the outsiders leave. Then I will be reborn as a Ranga. Pirates and slavers drove my tribe from our old roots and havens. Now, the Valians do the same with paper. They come to pull Adra from the earth and mill it like grain.
Talcon Plankenet. You have your story and I have mine.
They stare each other down.
There is nothing more to say. Here at the end, outsider lies are a dull edge.
He glowers at you, the ambient essence growing sharp and turbulent around him. You've all died. Maybe I can help you move on?
This is where all things stop. No one leaves, I say.
He balls his hands into fists, his shoulders knotting with tension.
Akosi, let's not be hasty. Some of us still have bodies out there.
She puts up a hand in protest and glances to the souls of her crew.
You don't plan on staying here, huh? Why not let us tag along and see if we can reunite with our... what we left behind?
She spreads her palms open in a show of benevolence. It never ends well when you stuff mismatched essence into one body.
You're not lying, are you?
She glances back toward her crew and winces. I am a watcher. It could be that you awakened yourself and, stuff like that. You go a little crazy.
You've all served your captain with distinction. But I think this is where we part ways.
She nods to each of them in turn.
Dismissed.
She salutes her crew, many of whom vanish on the spot, their souls joining the ambient ether. Beza nods to you and departs soon after. Grimacing, Anaharu advances. Okay. Well, I guess we got fewer enemies to deal with. Alrighty. Well, that went too difficult.
Let's go.
You subdue the furious souls, ripping them into motes of their constituent essence. Beyond this cloud of essence, you feel the pull of the cycle, a force that steadily increases. This pillar remains steadfastly blocked from the natural flow. Power still hums through the essence. Sending it through the cycle would restore the Ajra around you. Fragmenting it would detonate the delicate balance of power, destroying the pillar. Either way, the steady tug of the beyond grows. You must decide quickly. So restoring its luminosity would also probably put away the storm. I mean, I think either way is going to put away the storms. But, this is also the life veins of the world we're messing with, right? So, we could have far-reaching consequences we can't see yet if we destroy it. I think restoring it while the Valians may come along and mine it, I think overall that's better for the world itself and the Juana. You push the essence through the widening channel to the beyond. They churn and spin away. Suddenly, the ether around you develops into a churning maelstrom. You pull yourself back toward your body before the force rips your soul away. that how we get out of here now? You cling to the tether of your soul, racing to the safety of the material world, even as the immaterial one warps around you. Not wraps. Essence floods the newly restored Ardra, filling it with a light and a heat that is both agonizing and rapturous. You return to your body, feeling as though you've just fallen into it from a mountaintop. Your companions gasp and groan beside you. You cover your face against the light radiating from the restored Ardra. Ah, the Ardra grows green once again. Well, that wasn't too bad. Are these stairs the easy way out? Now it's time to report back to Otsura.
I found my spine on the dead fire lines. Tell me way, hey, hoorah, from a deerwood babe to a sailor fine. Hoorah for the dead fire lines. Now dead fire roots, they make good time. Tell me way, hey, hoorah, with the clear wide straits and inlets fine. Hurrah for the dead fire lines. Oh, they're the lines where you can shine. Tell me way, hey, hoorah. Oh, they're the lines where I spent me prime.
You are traveling the streets of Nekataka when you hear the familiar voice nearby. As you follow the winding streets of Nekataka, the usual city sounds of cartwheels against cobbles and shouting vendors fades, replaced by the cacophony of a heated argument on the verge of boiling over. One of the voices rings familiar. Eldengrim from the Defiant. As you round the corner, you see Eldengrim, surrounded by a group of unfamiliar soldiers. From their dress, you don't believe they're locals. They shout at Eldengrim, who returns the yelling with interest, though you can't make out the actual matter of the argument. One of the sailors shoves Eldengrim against a wall, and the hand of another thug lingers dangerously near his weapon. Eldengrim's eyes meet yours and widen.
Captain! Thank the gods, I could use a hand here.
Captain, the unfamiliar sailor scowls as she looks you over.
You should teach your sailor better
Goodness.
You should teach your sailors better manners. This sort of fool got sick all over our boots.
Her compatriots nod, eyes searching you. Okay, sorry about my mate's behavior, but I can't let you make them unfit to serve. I don't suppose an apology would suffice. A perfectly reasonable way to resolve matters. Well, Aloth said that. Looks brightly between the aggrieved parties. The sailors look to one another and one nods. She looks to Eldengrim.
Let's hear it.
Eldengrim gives you a sad glance, then looks back to the woman.
Sorry, ma'am. What was that?
The other sailors snicker.
Sorry, ma'am.
The woman salutes you, then turns on her heel. The sailors walk away. Eldengrim approaches, grinning open.
Thanks, Captain. You truly saved me just now.
Be more careful next time. I might not be there to save you.
Yes, Captain.
Eldengrim heads off towards the ship, whistling along the way.
Clear skies.
He tilts his head as he watches you, his eyes unblinking. I restored the luminous Ardra at Pokokahara.
That explains the rumors the Valians are scaling up in Queen's Birth. I'd hoped you would stop them.
His expression doesn't change, but you can feel his dissatisfaction, like a shift in the temperature.
Nevertheless, I'm more interested in reports the storms around the islands have cleared. What do you know of this?
He leans a little closer, his hands folded behind his back. Strong concentrations of essence affect the physical world. That's how blights manifest, for instance.
Even if this isn't the outcome we'd wanted for Pokokahara, your observation is infinitely more valuable. Take this, and remember it the next time we call on you.
He hands you a purse, but his expression is distant, as if he's still thinking about what you told him.
We'd long suspected something unnatural was behind the storms, but we had little evidence.
The smile playing at his lips is that of a man who's seen the next 3 moves in a game of Hazatowa. Rawatai is plagued with terrible storms. You think there might be a connection?
Yes. If the storms that assail Rawatai have a similarly unnatural origin, then perhaps they too can be stopped.
He looks back up at you, his eyes bright with purpose.
And if that's the case, then there's more work to be done. Work that you might be able to help with.
Another silence passes as he regards you.
After all, somebody has to keep the peace in these tumultuous times, no?
He smiles, showing you all of his pointed teeth.
In any case, Hazanui Karu has a matter that could use your help.
Oh-ho.
Her office is on the main floor behind the large double doors. It's most conspicuous.
He frowns a little. Well, I suppose I'll go and have a talk with him. Hazanui Karu paces near her desk, looking like a shark circling the shallows. She clenches a long, elegant pipe between her teeth, the smoke trailing an acrid wake behind her. She looks up when you enter and favors you with a brief nod of acknowledgement.
The former Lord of Cadnua and one-time Terrifier of Harbor Masters. If dockside tales are to be believed.
She smiles briefly through the smoke.
Other than Hasongo, you have not brought much good news of late.
Her pensive look returns.
So, in addition to pirates, profiteers, and slavers, the Deadfire has a vengeful god roaming its waters?
She bites down harder on her pipe. I mean, it could be Skane.
Tell that to my dead at Hasongo.
She lapses into a brief silence, puffing on her pipe.
Just what the archipelago needs. One more disaster tugging at the seams. He must be stopped.
She halts, turning to face you. You're finally able to get a good look at her. She's not especially large for an Amawa, but she carries her shoulders high. Her weathered face looks to have seen many storm-blown and sun-beaten days on deck, yet her eyes are sharp and keen. Well, he's a giant made of living Adra that can absorb souls in an instant. Got any ideas of your own?
Anything can be stopped with sufficient force. The problem is finding the will to deploy it.
She watches you, her eyes bright with calculation.
The Valians won't lift a finger if it isn't to snatch a coin, and the Huana will barely do that much. No one takes charge to solve the big problems. But perhaps we could work together to our mutual benefit.
She takes the pipe in her left hand. As she does, you notice that her right is unusually still. What do you mean?
Look around. Deadfire's full of fertile, temperate islands. Except for Andra's mortar. It's largely free of rough weather.
She waves her right hand, and you notice again that her fingers remain strangely still. You realize it's an unusually fine prosthetic.
Yet much of it is uninhabited. Itinerant tribes drift between some of the islands, and smugglers and slavers cluster around the rest.
I think I've taken care of the slavers.
It's a waste.
At least I hope I did.
Imagine what this place could be, with well-guarded shipping routes. How many Rawatayans we could feed with plantations here.
I don't see how you're that much different from other powers here, honestly. A raspy laugh rattles from her chest.
The Valian Trading Company wants to leech every last coin they can from the Deadfire, no matter the eventual cost. They're little more than thieves.
Man, I wonder what's causing those little glitches.
The Principi are actual thieves, no matter their pretensions of nobility.
Mm-hmm.
Aye, and honest about it besides. Also talented, charismatic, and spectacular betwixt the sheets.
Good God, Seraphim. The Hazanui briefly glares at him as if he's proved her point.
And the Juana are happy to let them all pick away at their fractured empire. We're interested in building something here.
pipe in hand, she gestures expansively. So you're exploiting Deadfire for the sake of Rauatai.
That's a naive view. One our enemies are keen to promote.
She scowls, biting down on her pipe.
Rauatai's violent storms have shaped and hardened us as much as they have our homeland's rocky terrain. But it remains a difficult place to live. So, we rely on trade and on plantations we've established here. And those developments also create a more stable, productive Deadfire.
She spreads both hands wide as if that explains it. So what does any of this have to do with me?
You've got a good head on your shoulders. Deadfire needs more of that. If you're chasing the god who's stomping this place into the ground, then we have a common goal.
Oh yeah?
And if you're going to survive here, then you could use an ally.
A hint of a smile tugs her lips from her tar-stained teeth. I've gotten this far on my own. I don't need anyone else.
Aye. Be true and truer, presuming the cat be speaking in the royal eye.
Seraphim scowls slightly at you. Well, I mean, yes, I understand you guys are here too.
I like you. Not to belittle your success at Hasongo, but there are greater dangers in Deadfire than a fort full of Naga.
She watches you over the bowl of her pipe.
We can help you, but first, you need to help us. I hear you recently traveled to Poko Kohara. Something you did there cleared the storms.
She exhales a stream of smoke, tapping her cheek thoughtfully with the stem of her pipe.
Makes a person wonder what kind of secrets lie in Andra's mortar.
She takes a thoughtful puff on her pipe. She's quite the smoker. Why do you say that? She grins, smoke curling between her teeth.
What kind of explorer are you?
The one who, gets tons of treasure.
Don't tell me you've never gazed at a horizon and wondered at what lies beyond. Or seen a no trespassing sign as a challenge.
Mischief tugs her smile across her broad jaw. In that moment, she looks somehow younger. Yeah, I suppose I have.
That's the spirit.
She claps you on the back, her one hand clopping against your shoulder.
Rauatai's storms have made us who we are as a nation. Hardy, driven, inventive. But they've also held us back. Forced our people to seek resources and livelihoods far from our homes and families.
I think you're just trying to persuade me now.
Imagine how much more we could achieve if we could control those storms.
Her bright eyes watch you for a reaction. It seems simpler to live with them,
No civilization ever achieved greatness by remaining passive in the face of adversity.
That is kind of true.
Besides, for many in Rauatai, that is no longer an option.
She glances away, the corners of her eyes crinkle.
But enough of that for now.
She waves the smoke between you away. Tsora said you needed my help.
There's an understatement.
She knocks the bowl of her pipe against her wooden hand.
The trouble in Hasongo forced us to send additional ships back to Rauatai to make up for shortfalls. And storms at home have delayed another portion of our fleet. This leaves us short-handed here.
She purses her lips with displeasure. What are you asking of me?
We're due to collect a special shipment for delivery to our port at Sayuka.
At Sayuka?
We've contracted with a captain named Widla.
Flicker of distaste passes across her face.
Meet her, complete the trade, and take the cargo to Sayuka. Fleet Master Okaya is overseeing the development of some special projects there.
She takes a thoughtful draw on her pipe as she looks at you, seemingly deciding what to say.
She's one of the brightest minds in Rauatai, and it shows. You two will get along.
Her amusement manifests in the barest lift of her eyebrows.
Most of her work is, or should be, under wraps for now. But perhaps she can give you a taste of what we have to offer.
Why don't you send Widla's crew to Sayuka? Her laugh sounds like a grunt.
Let's just say, I'm not keen to invite them to a port where we're developing experimental technologies.
because they're not fully part of Rawatai.
Wilda be flying Principe colours. On occasions, she ain't flying force. One of the young bloods.
Ah.
Along with half the population of this storm-tossed archipelago.
She shakes her head. I've got a lot to do, you know. I can't promise anything.
Nevertheless, I'm sure your business will take you all around the archipelago. Consider this if you find yourself in the area. Wheatland's agreed to meet our courier out at sea, away from the heaviest traffic.
She gestures on her map to the open water west of Nekataka.
This is her payment. We've already negotiated with her.
She hands you a purse.
Fleet Master Okaya will see to your compensation once you arrive with the cargo.
She watches you appraisingly.
Deadfire makes crooks and thieves out of the best of us. Somehow, though, you've stayed above all that. I'm hoping this means I can count on you. Clear skies.
Well, calm seas. Well, I guess we're out here. And probably gonna go take a visit to that tavern I like. We're traveling in the slums of Nekataka when the streets become suddenly barren. Cliffs high above block all sight of the stars from the narrow alleys and tunnels of Nekataka's ghettos. The reek of rotten fruit mixes with the noisome scent of dead fish, swaddling you along with 100 other lesser filthy fragrances. Your footsteps echo in the darkness, piercing the otherwise silent slums. I know my duty's more to the dead than the living. These aren't hardly living conditions as is. Something like this ain't right. Xoti shakes her head. You turn a corner and walk into a plaintive cry. Help! Misshapen shadows mix with low hissing, and the skittering of claws on filthy stone resolve into a pack of skull deer. Their glistening maws float in the black, and cave grubs wriggle about their legs, mandibles snapping as if to mangle the air. On the far side of the creatures, a small girl dressed in the rags of the Juana grips a gleaming sword in both hands. She brandishes it wildly at the skull deer, each swing of the blade releasing a howl that keeps the beasts at bay. They creep ever closer to her, however, and her eyes plead with your own. Please! Okay. Let me draw the beast's attention. Come here! You charge forward, but the overturned pot you fail to notice trips you, sending you flailing to the ground. The skull deer regard you curiously as they advance, spittle dripping to the dirt. They spread out, surrounding you as they come. Well, I got their attention. That's all that really matters right now. Oh, hang on a second. Okay. I gotta get in there.
This is futile.
There we go. All dealt with.
Leave it to me. No problem.
Alrighty, Kusi. Or Kusi? The girl panting before you, draped in tattered Raparu robes, bears a few bruises and cuts, but looks otherwise unharmed. Beads of sweat commingle with trickling blood on her forehead. Finally relaxing, she lowers the sword she's been swinging, letting the edge rest in the dirt. The pommel bears the form of a dog's head.
Thanks, stranger. Don't think I could have made it without you.
Kusi smiles, eyes gleaming in the gloom. What are you doing out here?
These Skulder had been picking folk off for weeks, picking on the weak. Those too young, old, or sick to fight them off.
She kicks one of the corpses.
Maybe it was stupid, but I couldn't let that go on, not if I could help it.
Why? Aren't there supposed to be like Mataru who take care of that? That was incredibly brave of you.
Nah.
Kusi looks away with a blush, her hair falling over her face to half hide her grin.
I mean, maybe a little.
Okay, well, you're lucky you're not dead, too.
I know. But isn't that true of most folk who aren't dead?
What?
Anyway, I think you should have this. For what you did, and for what you can do with it.
She kneels, wipes the blood off the blade, and slides it into its scabbard before proffering it to you. Most Juana and the Gullet don't have your grasp of Idiran.
That's Father's doing. He traveled all over and he insisted that I learn Adiran, Valian, and Rawatayan.
Rawatayan doesn't have a highlight. She puffs out her chest.
I even know a few phrases in Anutanic.
Enutanic. Ah. Well, thank you. I'll use this blade well.
No, thank you for coming along when you did. And what's more, for helping.
She bows her head. You take the sword from her. The girl steps back. Griffin's blade. Grant's loyal companion. The spirit of Griffin bolsters the party's courage. Cool.
I truly appreciate what you did. Not everyone in Nekataka steps in for a neighbor. I need to be getting back to Mother, though.
She grimaces down at one of the dead school deer.
I probably shouldn't take home Skulder meat, should I?
She muses. I mean, if you're desperate, they are edible. Though I don't recommend it. We'll just carry on our way, I suppose. Xoti sways on her feet, a soft, low moan easing from her throat. She rubs a thumb over worry-bitten lips. You feeling okay? Sweat trickles a line from her temple to drip from her chin. Her eyes are hazy, far off.
Watcher?
Slowly she swallows, throat working to bring her voice back, or to keep her meal down.
It's nothing but awakened terror. Soon to pass.
She shudders hard, coming back to herself. Wanna talk about it?
Now, there's no need for that.
She juts her chin to the right. Oh, I didn't. My bad, I interrupted you.
You see those shambling corpses, too?
I see them all the time. At her hastily whispered words, the hair on the back of your neck stands on end. You glance around just to be safe, but there's nothing to be seen. Nothing unusual, anyways. Even in the direction Xoti's staring, fixed. What do you see?
I see a body of stitched together parts and flayed flesh. It's got 3 heads and 4 stretched limbs. On each of its heads curves 3 white horns from above 3 blind eyes.
Sounds a bit like Rimergand.
The beast is big as a mountain, and shambling toward us beneath a sun turned black as slow.
Her eyes roll skyward, and she teeters on her heels as if she's riding the cusp of a seizure. The lantern rattles in her grip. She exhales a sigh.
I know it ain't really there. Lately, it's been getting worse. Some nights I wake sweaty and shaking. Other times, I'm already awake. I got my eyes wide open, staring down the darkness, watching one lantern after another flickering out. And every soul looks so ripe, darn near rotten with a need for reaping.
We could relight the lanterns of hell, given enough time. All is not lost.
I sure hope you're right, Watcher. 'Cause if you're wrong...
Nervously, she jiggles her lantern, eyes lost in its flames.
No, I know you're right. Gon's chosen me. So until I figure out what's needed of me, I'll do my darndest to help you on your path.
She lifts her gaze to your face.
We'll figure this out together.
Shoulders squared, she looks off into the distance. Is there anything we can do to alleviate your nightmares?
I'm carrying more souls than I've ever shepherded before. So, I don't know that it'll work this time, but used to be. When the dreams were riding me hard, I'd cleanse my soul before gone.
So we need to take you to the temple?
If we stop by the temple in Nekataka, I can perform the ritual. Please, I need the relief. It won't take more than a minute under Gon's statue, that's all.
Very well, we'll do that.
Here's where I do the ritual. Right there under the statue of Gon.
Under that, right.
Wait, about time we took a breather. My feet are blistered something fierce.
Hands braced on her knees for support, she leans forward and sucks in a breath of fresh air. Her eyes never leave your face. A rosy flush slowly brightens her cheeks, and she beams you a wide, brash grin.
Tell me what's on your mind?
You were wanting to talk?
Sure thing, Watcher.
Not anymore, I guess? Well, we're here in front of the statue now, so you can go do your thing. Rubbing the back of her neck, self-consciously, Xoti casts her gaze to the side.
Nothing like a homecoming to make a girl remember her roots, even if they are dried up and half dead.
She sighs, nudging a bit of mud from her boots before she lifts her face to settle on you with her big, dark brown eyes.
Sometimes I wonder if my brethren don't think I got black ichor running in my veins.
Do you?
If I cried, you reckon it'd look like tar? Suppose you meant to make me feel better. It is a dang silly thought.
She laughs, offering you a grateful smile. It's silly that I'd want to make you feel better?
No, that I'd have black blood.
A blush rushes up her cheeks and she stifles a titter with the palm of her hand.
You shouldn't be so fine to me, Watcher.
What?
Makes me think untoward things. Gives me notions I don't need to be getting.
That's right, you don't need to be getting those notions.
I can't risk straying when I got a duty to gone.
Well, speaking of gone...
Yeah?
She cants her head to the side.
Lay it on me.
Okay. I guess I gotta just start asking questions now. Why are you gathering souls into your lantern?
I was born to reap souls and lead them to the light. Now with Aethys dead, and these dire visions, I think I need to shield them from a hell gone dark. But the more I gather, the more my mind turns to tatters.
What if you didn't collect souls anymore?
That ain't gonna happen.
Grinding her teeth, she shoots you an incredulous expression.
You'd ask me to turn my back on my god?
Well, remind me the difference between Gone and Aethys.
Aethys is dead, and gone is the death before life.
Aethys would like to argue with you.
He's the ripeness before the fall.
She raises her sickle, turning the blade to catch the light of her lantern as if in demonstration. But we know Aethys isn't dead.
That lumbering hunk of Audra might claim to be Aethys, but that doesn't matter a whit.
She shrugs. I am your god. No, you're not.
He died, so he can't be Aethys anymore. Death changes every soul, even a god's.
Do gods even have the same kind of souls as us?
And if it doesn't, it should.
The Dawn Stars are all about goodness and light. Why are you so concerned with death and darkness?
Why do you think the god of rebirth held an aspect of death within him? You can't have life without dying.
Yeah, but dying sort of comes at like the end of the road, right?
There ain't no beginning without a prior ending. Ain't no day without night, no spring without fall. You can't grow crops if you never harvest for seeds.
Right, well, we came here to cleanse your soul.
All right. Yeah, I'm ready. I've done this before, but never with such a full lantern. You may want to stand back. The experience can be somewhat intense.
Mm-hmm. Kneeling before the statue of Gon, Xoti sets her lantern between her knees. Head bowed, she presses both palms to the copper cage. A low chant lilts from her lips as it grows louder. The light from her lantern glows brighter, as does the lantern that the statue of Gon holds in one skeletal hand. The two lights pulse in rhythm, with the chant resonating with each other. Twin heartbeats that pound faster and stronger until the light from Gon's lantern bursts outward in a shower of violet-hued rays. The essence bathes Xoti's bent form, making her jolt upright as a cry escapes her.
Don't know if I feel cleaner, but I feel something. Blessed, for sure.
Xoti offers you a half smile as she retrieves her lantern, trembling fingers curling against the gleaming metal cage.
Let's just hope it lasts, because my lantern feels as heavy as ever, full to brimming with essence, like It's dark water spilling over my mind. All right, I'll be right behind you.
Okay. Yep. I guess we're, You say you want to talk to me. Adrift in a waking dream, Xoti sways on her feet, sweating, muscles quivering. She whimpers low in her throat. Let's just watch. Maybe that's dark. Her chest rises and falls faster and deeper until she's nearly heaving. Eyes wide and terrified, she chokes back a shriek, but then the vision seems to wane. She calms, confused eyes searching your face.
Reckon that's the first time I ever bore witness to my own demise. It was not pretty.
Yeah, I've watched myself die a few times, but those were all different bodies, too. She worries her bottom lip with her teeth.
Never woke with such a driving need for reaping before. It's making my hands shake.
Didn't the cleansing work?
It did for a while, but then it wore off. All this essence I've gathered, it soaked the blessing right up. Left me with hardly none.
Huh, you're losing your light to the darkness, it seems. You need to rekindle it by helping the living, maybe. She sucks in a deep breath.
You sound like my high priestess Samhain. She never shuts up about the living, when she ought to worry more about the dead. Seems the more souls I gather, the better I see Gon's will. And the less I get a wink of sleep.
Sounds like a problem. Your nightmares are getting worse.
Night or day, sleep or waking. It's getting harder to tell what's real from what's just yet to come. There is something I'm meant to do, though, once I gather enough souls. Us Gonites, we're supposed to shepherd lost souls, not just gather them. The harvesting's only the first part.
So we need a Pillar of Adra?
If I were to dump the souls, it might make me dream less, like before. Or, darn it, who knows? Maybe it'd just make it all worse. Either way, I've got to find my purpose.
She turns her face away, bottom lip trembling. Slowly, her fingers reach for the hem of your shirt. She rubs the pads of her fingers over it, holding to you in the lightest of touches. Aloth nods, a quiet smile etched across his lips. I don't know why I read that time.
Will you help me, Watcher?
Yes.
I was hoping you might would. Sometimes I feel like, with you by my side, I can stand against gods.
We'll find an Adra vein and release your burden. It's the best way to ensure the souls reach the beyond.
It'll need to be a potent source to overpower the draw of my lantern. It's gotta be luminous, for sure.
She nods, clearly devising a plan of action. Well, we've seen one at Hasango, we've seen one at Pokokahara. I believe there was one at Port Mage, or close to it.
That's one problem solved. But what about the itty-bitty issue regarding the god of rebirth not actually being in hell?
Well, like you said, that's not him, right?
The souls will make it safely, but who's to see to their proper reseeding?
I think that's Barrett's thing.
This is a huge risk of Aora's balance. You really trust Malgrin not to rebirth Aethasians as warriors of the flame? Think Galawain won't be greedy? Gone aside, the gods' past actions don't instill me with the greatest confidence.
What else would you propose?
Normally, I'd simply safekeep them until the god of rebirth could return to hell. But
You're suffering too much.
you're right. I ought to deliver as many souls to hell as I can, before it's too late. We need to empty my lantern right away.
Yep.
Gods, but you're clever. This is why Gon directed me into your path. I just know it.
I feel like you're just not clever enough. She nods once before turning away. Them Rayed Sarens, man, they've got away with intelligence.
Well, howdy there, folks. Just Xoti and the Watcher, bringing a little bit more light into the world. And while you're at it here, you should like and subscribe, and I hear commenting is also pretty good.